Yeah, welcome to the AME Roundtable, everybody. All right, so let's get
Welcome.
going. I'm going to introduce us today. My name's Richard Evans. I'm facilitator and organizer for the AME 2 Second Lean Roundtable series. Apologies from Paul. He's in Japan uh, in May and June, and unfortunately he can't make it. So
We'll
it's
switch it.
virtually the middle of the night for him. And we've got our great resident leaders here, other than Paul. So from my left, Alex Ramirez from United States. He's in Mexico right now. We've got Bernard Powell, who's at home. He's under the weather a little bit, but he's doing really well from New
We'll be
Zealand.
great. We'll be good.
And
We'll be good.
and we've got a couple of guest leaders today. We've got Austin from United States, Austin Husky, and our good friend Brannon Burton, who's been on the roundtable before. So it's going to be an absolutely awesome roundtable for us today. If you do have any questions, you're welcome to put them into the chat. Please put them into the chat. But we've got some questions that people have already sent in, prepared ahead of time. Here's our first question. This is from Nathan in United States. Has anyone developed a lean internship program to assist in educating teachers and students who are considering sending interns to a lean organization? A kind of what to expect and basic training to improve the likelihood of a successful outcome and selection by the student. So I'm going to get Bernard to go first on this one. Bernard, what's your take on this?
I don't know if anybody has. We have an internal training system called GPP, Growing People Program, where we have a whole huge section on lean, but a lot of that is where we've big steal and borrowed videos from like Paul's channel and Ryan's channel and Alex's channel, and probably got Brandon and Austin in there too, actually. So yeah, that's my only answer to that. We are working on a course in our Premier Business Academy for something along these lines. So we can keep you posted. If you want to shoot me a message, I'll chuck my email in here.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. And Bernard is more than welcome to share what he's doing with everybody. That's great. Alex, your take on this one.
The only link I've done is with the University of Houston here in Texas. And what we or I normally do is go every year. We get invited and we talk all day for like 5 different teams that actually are teaching different things in School of Business. But curiously, they're teaching Lean with the 2 Second Lean book from Paul Akers. So that's how I got to know one of the teachers, and we get invited. But that's the closest thing I would say. But it's more just giving back to the community than having some internship in the company or that I know of someone doing that. I have not seen an internship really linked into Lean or getting teachers inside. That I have not seen.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Thank you, Alex. Okay, Brannon,
It's a great
what
idea.
about yourself on this one?
I haven't seen anybody that's done that. I do know that Utah State, which is a couple hours north of us, has is part of like the Shingo Institute of Learning or something like that. So they have a lot of connections there. And you know, now I kind of want to go up there and look and see what they've got coming out of their university. Maybe there's some opportunities there that I haven't thought of. So my thoughts are I'm going to go and look into that and see what we already have in the States. There may be something at Utah State.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Brannon. Austin?
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything specifically. Kind of like Bernard, we have a emerging leaders program where internally we train, um, and it's open to anybody. But once you're in, you're committed to a period of time, and we go through videos and books, and then we also have gotten plugged in. We actually have a high school locally that still has a shop class. And so, since we're in construction supply, we've connected with them and gotten to bring students in for tours and actually have a team member on their advisory council now. So, we're getting to talk Paul Akers 2 Second Lean to high schoolers, which is very fun.
That's great. That's great. So from my perspective, I know that Mark Warren, who's on the call today, actually has internships for third and fourth year industrial engineering students. So if Nathan, if you're listening, or if anybody else is interested, you're welcome to reach out to Mark and also to Bernard as well. And by the way, don't forget AME, the Association for Manufacturing Excellence. We've got some tremendous networking going on within the organization. We're part of the Lean certification program that is run out of SME, along with Shingo as well. So lots and lots of stuff to learn from, and everybody's very willing to share. That's great. Thank you, team. All right, let's get to the next question. So this is from Jose in New Orleans. As we strive to implement lean principles in our hospital, we as leaders have encountered challenges in sustaining foundational practices like 3S, even ourselves. What strategies or habits would you recommend to help us and our team maintain commitment and overcome these initial hurdles? Okay, Austin, you go first on this one.
I mean, you have to be committed yourself without question. And so that's number one. I think I've struggled with the same in different areas. And what I have found most successful is just bringing it back to the question of what bugs you. And then you, as the leader, making sure that you follow through as aggressively as you can in addressing the things that get brought up. And that can get things back on track better than anything that I've tried.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Brannon.
You know, whenever I've seen this not work, and it was really, really hard in construction, I'm sure Austin can confirm this, when you have people all over the place to get 3S going, because they're all on their own and guys have to do it on their own. And the only way that we could get it going was to get the supervisors on board with it, doing it with them, and for the management team to get out there onto the job. There is no other way to do it. You can't tell them, you can't force them, you can't have them report back. Leadership has to be out there doing it with them every single morning, and it has to be part of the business time as well. So you have to set aside a chunk of time. You can't push them into production. You can't tell them to get to work. You can't fill their plate so full that there's no way they could possibly get it done. Give them the time that they need to. Go out there and work with them hand in hand, and there's just really no other substitute. You do that with the leadership, and I'm talking the top leader has to do it. Like, he can't be exempt from it somehow. He has to get out there with them and do it, and it will work.
Incredible answer. Thank you. I agree 100%. Bernard.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to say you can't delegate lean. Lean is the hard thing that makes everything easy. The leader, I'd agree with Brennan and Austin, you have to be on the gemba or on the shop floor doing it with the team. So to build a habit, you're going to have to make it a daily habit, because if you try and do it every second day, it's not going to work. Like, you have to have, it's like going to the gym. If you don't work out every day, it's too easy to skip the next day, or skip a day, then skip a day. So just build it as a daily habit, so it becomes, that 3S muscle gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And just start with the basics, like 3S, like sweep, sort, standardize, just clearing out any clutter. Even just starting with, even if it's 5 minutes a day, that's, if you can't commit to anything else, 5 minutes of cleaning is still going to give you a good start. And then you can move it up to 10 minutes, you can move it up to 15 minutes. And as you start to fix what bugs you, every time you clean, you find a new opportunity for improvement, right? You find a new cable lying on the floor that should be hanging up. You find oh, hang on, we don't have a broom in this area. So you get a broom and you hang it in that area, and then you start to save time, right? But if you don't build that daily muscle, this is not going to get off the ground. And a hospital is it's like a manufacturing facility. If you can lift that level of 3S, obviously, your patient care is going to get better. You're going to spend more and more time adding value, which is looking after your patients instead of looking for stuff and tripping over yourself and getting frustrated, or wasting time walking 20 meters for a broom or a dustpan or a vacuum cleaner or whatever. So yeah, build that daily muscle. It's absolutely critical, and you must lead from the front. But that's all I can say on that, Richard.
That's great. Fantastic answer. Thank you, Bernard. Alex.
Yeah, I'm reading so Jose, by reading your question here, it says even yourselves. So you're having problems on 3S, you're not improving 3Sing. So if you as leader are having trouble to do it, then I mean, what would you expect from the rest? And it's like Brandon and everybody's saying is that it's a leadership thing. If they see you there, there's no question. You don't have to explain it. I would say then if that is taking place and you still have problems, take a look at, is it clear what they need to do? Is there a schedule? Do you have people assigned to each area? Do you have the tools? Even the 3S is so foundational because it teaches you, do you have the tools? Okay, you have them. Do you have them in the place where you should have the 3Sing happening? Have you standardized on the consumables? Do you have the detergent you need? If it's a hospital, I'm sure there's very specific things how you need to clean. Is it very clear how they need to clean? How they need to organize? Um, is there a schedule? Who cleans what in what areas? And being a spread out area like a hospital, I don't know if you can do like stop everyone at one time and do 3Sing. So is there a way that you can organize where there's always some coverage, right? People participate, leadership will participate, but you're still giving service. So I can see the challenge in a hospital, but you need to find a way where definitely you're involved and make it routine.
That's good.
That's as
That's
simple
really
as that. Yeah.
Yeah, and just
And
to
can I just add,
yeah,
Richard?
go ahead,
Sorry,
Bernard.
I was just going to say, like again, like Paul says, and we all say on this call, is start in the bathroom, like get that bathroom up to standard. So you've got a model, you've got an example that everyone can look at and say, this is the 3S, this is the standard we need. So make sure if they don't know where to start, let's get the bathrooms looking amazing and keep them looking absolutely amazing. And you as a leader must keep the rope tight. If you got to be using that bathroom yourself several times a day, and if there's a problem in there, you got to be sharing that on your group chat and saying, guys, we need to keep the rope tight, clean it yourself, and then keep rolling that out across the hallways and the rooms and everywhere else.
Yeah.
And if the restroom is a public one, so everybody is doing it, it's because I can always see the excuse, well, everybody goes to the bathroom. It's not us. It's do the lunchroom, wherever you guys sit down and have lunch, or a coffee station, wherever it's a common place for everyone.
So it's from my perspective, the difference I think is that you've got a hospital. You can shut down a manufacturing facility for 20, 30 minutes and get everybody doing the habit every single day.
Yeah.
You can't shut down a hospital, right? So I think that, Jose, what you've got to do is to look and implement a schedule where you've got teams that the same time every single day they're doing 3S. Because, I see a lot of companies that are still doing 5S and they're still doing auditing. They're still wasting time measuring how people are doing it good. And what we've got to do is to get that habit every single day. So you've got to rotate the teams in the hospital so they're doing it the same time every single day. They're doing their 3S. They're doing their improvement. And that way you'll get the foundational practices to be like muscle memory every single day. That's a good question. It's great. And a process is a process, but you got to look at the environment as well. Okay, next question from Johan in Germany. How have you dealt with the start into 2-second lean? I had the ideal that it's a pursuit of everyone to improve. After 4 months of morning meetings and 3S, I figured out that I had to have a power lean team of enthusiastic members. Did I do something wrong? Oh, I like this one. Okay, Brannon, you go first on this.
I'm trying to figure out why he would have done something wrong just by reading the question. Maybe you can clarify that a little bit for me. After 4 months of morning meetings at 3S, I figured out that I had to have a power lean team of enthusiastic members. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've given that recommendation to a handful of people, and I've heard this from Alex a handful of times, feed the hungry. But you find your influential people that are on board, and you have early adopters, you have mid adopters, and you have late adopters in any organization. And the early adopters are usually influential. Get them on board with it. So absolutely have them champion it and get them out in front of everybody and help get momentum so those middle line adopters can come in. And crazy enough, some of those late adopters end up being some of the most impressive people, but they just take a while. They may take a year to really see everybody else get out in front of you. So I don't, if I'm reading this right, I don't see a problem at all with a power lean team. I would actually recommend that you find those early adopters and like Alex says, feed the hungry. Give them more of that and let them lead by example. So that's kind of my first response to that.
That's really good. Thank you, Brandon. Well done. Austin, how about you for this one?
Yeah, Paul gave me similar advice early on, like just start in one area. And so we've got a few physical locations, and we just started in one and created a group of fire starters and then a kind of our own lean learning environment that we could send people from other locations. But if we tried to do everything all at once, I would have failed miserably. And I did trip over myself regardless, right? I did all the help I could get. But yeah, it seems like you're doing it Johannes, exactly right. You need that fire starter team and invest directly in them, and it'll get contagious and spread from there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good. Well done, Austin. Alex.
Okay, I know the answer to this one. So John is this because I lived it so many times. So you need to grab a handful of people are managing the area where you're going to do this pilot, right? If it's a plant, if it's an area, if it's a, if it's a painting area, if it's that plant, or if it's R&D, or if it's sales, wherever you do that, there's normally a handful of people that are really leading the whole team. If it doesn't matter the size, believe me. And those handful of people, you need to do a learning club. And I'll tell you why. Because you guys need to be all in line with the culture you're building together. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start doing the 3Sing and improvement time and morning meetings, and you're not going to be able to be there every single time to answer the questions. And so if the culture is not disseminated at the same time with the same level of frequency, the level of communication in the wording, then there's going to be someone's going like, why are we doing this stupid 3Sing stuff? Oh my God. But someone's going to be there, a leader's going to be in that area and say, well, this is important to us because this is how we keep ourselves safe. We are doing always improvements and so up and so up. So it's really important to have a handful of people that you've read, 2 or 3 books, and you're defining your culture, your language, and you're deploying it. But pick the right people, please. Have the good handful of people in that learning club.
Yeah, and that really is the key, I think, the learning club. Yeah, I agree with you, Alex. Bernard.
That's a great question. And no, you didn't do anything wrong. Everyone starts their journey differently. Just again, do the basics, start in the bathroom, get that right, get your leadership team on board. Creating your power lean team is fantastic. Everything that Alex, Brennan, Austin have said is great. Not sure what else I could add to it. Really, you as a leader, you've got to keep the rope tight. So if you're not showing up on your group chat every day with your own improvement or 10 improvements, but start with one at least, then it's going to be very hard to, it's going to be very, very hard. Remember, improvement starts with I. And if you don't get that at a deep level, and it wasn't until I really showed up on the chat every single day, and nowadays it's like 10, 20 times a day, with sometimes tiny improvements, sometimes big improvements, sometimes just keeping the rope tight, like a photo of the bathroom not up to standard. And I'll say, hey guys, how does this stack up with respect for people and a deep respect for resources? How does this stack up with our core values? Leave it better than you found it. So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think what Alex said is the key as well, and Brannon and Austin. It's all about the learning club, getting the ones that are really keen and passionate, and then you grow the rest of the people around those teams. And that, I think that's really good. That's a really good question, Johan. Thank you.
And Johannes, don't be afraid to leave someone outside that club, even if they're tampering and saying, well, if you're not positive, if you're not, you got to earn your way into this club.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah, it's actually one of the
You know,
questions we've got coming up. That remember that saying that you've said, Alex, and you'll say, I'll remind you. Remember what you said back when we talked about Johan. Okay, next question. This is from Drew in Minnesota. Newcomers are mostly introduced to the culture, Muda, and the three S's. After years of working with Lean, though, I've realized that Muri and Mura are just as crucial to put into practice. How do your organizations handle Muri and Mura? Do you think we should
mm.
start mentoring newcomers on these right from the beginning? Okay, who hasn't gone
Great question.
first? Alex, you go first on this one.
It's really funny because today I was coaching one of my customers on this, and we touched about the waste and the three wastes. Obviously, you have Mura and Mura, and they couldn't figure out how is overburdened. You know, we don't have machines that say you can be overburdening people. You know, if one day you give them so much to do and then you don't have them nothing, you're not using their talent. And then you stress them out. It's so important to keep an eye on also, evening out the work. If you have too much work or less work, and this is a company that's doing office work, it's all virtual, and you can apply lean in a virtual world. So it's not only about machines, it's not only about not overloading the equipment uh, or the processes or the line, it's also just the people. So that was a perfect example for me to be able to do that. But we always focus on the seven Muda waste, right? But those overburden and unevenness, it can happen to people. I would explain it that way.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Okay, Bernard.
Yeah, I love this question. And we used to only teach the 8 lean wastes and then till everyone knew them off by heart, right? And we still do that every single morning in the morning meeting. Someone has to recite them in all of across our different morning meetings. And then we introduced, the 3 MUs, and we've got a little poster, and that little poster gets posted on our group chat every single morning, so that every day you're looking at that and you can see how, so that you're seeing that on the chat, but in our morning meeting, it also comes up. Someone has to repeat the 3 MUs, or in the English version. So, unevenness and overburden. And we show, we're always talking about examples of how they work together. And then when you're doing your Gemba walks out in the factory or in the office, making sure you have a discussion one-on-one with someone about those 3 MUs or those 3 principles working together, and get them to point them out to you in their process. So yes, we have made that just as important as teaching the 8 lean wastes. So does that make sense? I've shifted from the wastes, and now everybody knows about unevenness and overburden and how they all work together.
Excellent. So you're saying, yes, we should start mentoring newcomers
Yes.
right at the beginning. Excellent.
Well, yeah, teach them the 8 lean wastes first and get that ingrained, and then bring in. So let's say that's your first 6 months of your lean journey, and then bring it in. If I had my time again, then I'd bring it in, probably from 6 months onwards, something like that.
Excellent. Okay, Austin.
Drew, awesome question, and it'll make me and my team better, because I'm not teaching on those directly like we are the 8 wastes in the morning meeting. And we talk about it a lot with the unevenness and choppiness of the economy right now, specifically in construction. For me, it's a regular conversation around where are we overburdened, where is there unevenness, and how do we get creative and use all of the resources on the team to solve problems and move people around on a regular basis. So it's a conversation that's happening a lot, but not something that I'm teaching on. So I appreciate you improving Husky and our team with that question.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you, Austin. Brannon.
So I looked at this quite a bit, to be honest with you. I always felt like the 8 wastes were the responsibility of the frontline worker. And so I focused a little bit more there. But once I went up to the supervisor level and above, that's when I talked a little bit more about that, about unevenness and overburden. Because the frontline worker really can't control a lot of that. At least that's what I've kind of observed. They can't control the amount of workflow coming in. They can't control the roadblocks that are in front of the frontline worker. So I've really focused more of that on the supervisor level and up has been kind of my first approach. And I would also say I really, really looked at this heavily because I realized that the way we would bring work into the company and the way we used to do it was very up and down. It was very uneven and it caused a lot of problems. And so we focused a lot on bringing work in a smooth manner. And so work would come in and flow through the construction very smoothly, and that eliminated the overburden. And it actually got rid of a lot of the waste as well. And people can direct message me if they want to know how, but we had a very specific way we did that in construction. And I'll give a brief explanation of it. We would project how much labor we had out in front of us in order to do our work and how quickly we could go through it. So we knew how much work to bring in so it could come in incrementally and smoothly. So we were never overburdening and we got rid of that unevenness. So for me, that was a managerial function primarily, and that we would get rid of that unevenness and overburden at the management side and focus more on 8-ways down on the field level. So hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, and you know that's a really good answer actually, Brannon. When you look at the amount of work coming into your organization and flowing through your process, then yeah, overburdening and unevenness are really crucial. On the other side of it, from my perspective, I would say with newcomers, you really focus on the 8 wastes, but also introduce them to the overburdening and unevenness as well, because in a lot of cases they can be applied to their work as well, so they understand what it is. So I agree with Drew that yes, we should start mentoring them right at the beginning, but maybe touch it on it twice a week with a couple of things during your morning meetings, and that way people start to become aware of it. And I know Bernard, you do this at every morning meeting anyway, which is really great. Some great answers, guys. Thank you. All right, next one.
Brilliant.
Oh, Pablo, our friend Pablo from Argentina. Our company grew a lot, so we decided to include an improvements specialist that make ideas from the team a reality. What is your opinion on that change? Okay, Bernard, you go first on this one.
That's cool. We've always had, I think, probably split opinions across the group on this one, and I think we've seen people with a lot of success doing this, having an engineer or someone that just is a really focused improvement person, and Ryan speaks about it in his book as well. So I've heard of lots of companies that have had success with it. We didn't for the first few years do this. Everyone had for level 1 improvements, which is your easy improvements, fix what bugs you, small improvements. We believe everyone should still be doing them themselves. Otherwise, you don't build an improvement culture. Level 2 improvements where you might need some engineering or need some specialist skills, then we used to say, go see the engineer, and we still say that. But you got to get sign off from your team leader for anything that's level 2, anything that's going to affect the rest of your department. We kind of have we have an engineer in each of our factories, so they help out with the harder stuff. So that's my answer there, which works really, really well for us. I'd be keen to hear the rest, the opinions from the other team.
Bernard, thank you. Okay, Alex, you go, your turn.
Oh, the only thing I always warn people on this is that it's okay to have people to support and help, the welder, the electrician, someone that knows computer work or whatever, is keep skin in the game. If the people doing in the front line are just farming out the problem to someone else and someone else solves it for them, they're not going to take ownership, right? They need to be part of that solution. I think it's good to have teams to help, but they need to, be part of that team and make that happen. If it's just farm out, I've seen crazy things where even like 3Sing is farmed out to bring temporary people to come and paint your area. I mean, there's no ownership on that kind of thing, right?
No. Yeah.
So if you have a centralized team that is the thinkers to improve, No, not good at all. But if the idea comes from the shop and all they need is help because they don't have the skills to do it, yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea.
Excellent, Alex. Thank you. Brannon.
When we open up our facility, I'm going to have somebody probably right out of the gate to do this, and they're going to have other responsibilities. But when improvement assistance is needed, and I completely agree with Alex, but this is improvement assistance. This person comes in to assist them. The owner is the person that needs the improvement made. They come in with resources that that individual group doesn't have, like what, the ability to fabricate and weld and do all of these type of things that they just don't have access to. And that person comes in to assist the other team that has ownership over that improvement. So I totally agree with Alex. Like, don't farm it out, but have somebody whose primary position is there to assist. And like Bernard said, on like level 2 improvements, things that they can't do on their own. And so I'm all on board with that, to be honest with you. We were going to do it in construction, and then somebody stole all of our welding equipment out of our Connex, but that we just purchased for it. But in theory, I was all in on it, and I'm fully convinced that having somebody assist to help those larger level improvements go quicker is a huge benefit. So that's where I'm at with it.
Thank you. Pablo's smiling right now, by the way, Brandon. So, Austin, last but not least on this one.
I'm just going to be the amen corner. So I don't have people that I call improvement specialist, but maintenance team that might be equipment maintenance or facility, somebody with that electrical welding, that kind of tier 2 skill. They operate in that way. And yes, Alex, you're completely right. They can get taken advantage of. And if you have people that are really good fits for that role, they're servants, right? They want to. And so I'm almost having to manage it from both sides of slow down the maintenance team because they're so eager to help that there's certain areas that I feel like they're stunting the growth on just some simple tier 1 improvements that the team should handle internally. So that kind of hazard is very real. So
yeah.
Hey Richard, can I make one other quick comment on this? Because
Absolutely.
I just remembered we actually did this in the office, and it worked. It was amazing. It made such a massive difference. There was a guy who was particularly skilled at solving software problems and things like that, and making improvements in the office. And he was still a project manager, but we tried to carve out like one less project that he was managing, so he'd have basically a day left over, if that makes sense. And he became this repository for high level things that took quite a bit of time. And he was just being fed improvements all the time. And I tell you what, they took estimating down by like 50%. And the crazy thing is one day of time for him saved all these other estimators and project managers hundreds of hours, all of them. I mean, it was incredible. So I'm a big, big proponent of doing something like that, even from an office perspective. And we found that to be wildly successful.
Yeah, that's good, Brendan. I'll just
Yep.
jump in there. We do the same with CRM and all of our technology platforms. We have one guy that's particularly strong at that, and we would be completely wasting precious time if we're cross training people to back them up. I'm not saying don't do that, but he spends a lot of his day just improving the CRM and the inventory management platform, and it just saves hours of time across the business. So yeah, that's a great point, Brandon.
Yeah, really, really good responses to this one. And Pablo, I remember in the early 2000s, I was visiting Chicago every month. We did Kaizens, week-long Kaizens, and we created what was called a Tiger team. So they were people with the specialist skills on welding, on electrical, on all the other things that you need that the people at the Gemba can't do. So you called on the Tiger team, and there was a person who was assigned for that. So that you've got like a go-to person you can channel all the needs through, and that helped that company. So I think you've got to look at your own particular company, and if you've got lots of improvements going on all the while, and you can't manage them all, then an improvement specialist to maybe decide on the ones that are going to give you the best flow, the best improvements. That's probably a really good thing. Great
Richard,
answers,
Richard,
great answers.
fun coincidence. We literally call our guys the Tiger Team.
Oh, do you? Okay, excellent.
I think Pablo's situation here is quite unique, and he didn't write it in there. He doubled his team, so he basically doubled on size overnight.
Yep.
So I can imagine why he wants someone that can accompany them to help them and look, this is how you do improvements, how you use a saw, a drill, or whatever it is that he's doing to help them, right? So because he can only be somewhere and he can only do so much. So I can imagine why he had that person to help everyone to do improvements and support.
Okay, I'm going to change up a little bit here. What I'm going to do is to share a little clip of a video, okay? And I want to share this prior to the next question.
Well, straight away, what's it like working in an organization where the leader gets lean?
Like a breath of fresh air, to be completely honest, because it just does not work unless the leader is completely bought in and helping to drive it. I worked in a couple of environments where there was a lean philosophy, but it was very much efficiency based. It wasn't really about the people side of it so much. But then obviously coming to ATC, I had been here actually for a tour a couple of years ago, and the behaviour standards just blew my mind. It's like I had this aha moment where it just finally clicked that it starts with the people.
Do you actually have standards for how to behave?
Absolutely.
I've never seen that before.
Neither have I. It's incredible, and you're trying to teach people to leave things better than they found it and have respect for each other. But actually, you need to measure people against those things, and having a standard that aligns with your appraisal system, you know, your one-to-ones, and you're speaking the same language, talking about that standard all the time, and you're bringing it back to that every time.
And it's so clear because it's up on the wall. It's the first thing I seen when I walked in. We just come in the front door, and this is the first thing I noticed was this big board. But then I went straight to here and I noticed behavioural standards.
We were looking for a way that we could engage with our people, and how when we talk about excellence, we all know what we mean by a high level and a solid level. We obviously don't want to talk about the lows, but so everyone is on the same footing. And for example, if I take excellence, create a culture of always improving, high would be champions best practice, implements process and improvement projects, or wows the customer. And the solid then might be just finds ways to say yes and makes passing on quality works to others important.
But the thing I like most of this is the low part, actually, because it tells you what you don't want. So somebody with low excellence is somebody who only follows the procedures when they're watched. I love how clear that is. Because now I've only been here a few years and I know exactly how not to behave. I think from all the things I've seen today at ATC, this is their superpower. This drilling into the detail of behavioural standards is the thing that you're really good at.
It leads us into our next question. Ryan's last tour visited a company in Ireland called ATC Group. They have a behaviour SOP. What do you think of that? And if in favour, how long after your initial introduction to 2-second lean would you introduce it? Austin.
I don't have a behavioral SOP in writing, and I love it. It's something that we talk about in morning meetings, that one of our standards is we treat each other with respect, and we leave things better than we found it, and we look after the next person. But I love the idea of having that in writing, and we'll go do that. And I think you introduce it in tandem. I mean, it's right. It's totally congruent with a 2-second lean culture, right? Start in the bathroom. So
you would introduce it straight away. Straight
away.
away.
No reason not to. Yep.
Okay, interesting. Excellent. Austin. Brannon.
I love it to death. In fact, I pulled up my OneNote. People don't know this. I'm going to be building a precast facility and we have to hire everybody. But I have what I'm calling pre-hire employee commitments, and it's exactly this. Like, do it during the interview. This is what you're expected here. Like, and seriously, if you can't do that, then it's fine. We're not a good fit. I don't even want you coming in if you can't meet these. And so I'm calling it pre-hire employee commitments, but I also had pre-hire employer commitments that we wanted to do as well. And I really like the way they put that together. I think I can probably hybrid those together a little bit, but I say you do it during the hiring process. There's no reason that you shouldn't be up front and tell them exactly what they should expect to work there.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well done. Bernard.
Yeah, I love this. I say absolutely. When we shifted to a culture first mentality, this is before we came across 2-second lean. This is in 2015. We immediately created a culture pyramid, and we said we had culture advances at the top of the pyramid, culture fits, and then trying to fit, and then non-fits. And it's a pyramid. It was a big poster on our wall. I think it's still there, actually. It's in our playbook, so a premier playbook, so that when you join, before you join us, you get a copy of the playbook, and it's got, our core values, our mission, vision. It's got how we, our behaviors, what we expect from our people, the culture pyramid. We have our employment contract has all of those things, or most of those things in it as well, e.g. the core values and expectations. So right from the first interview, we hit you with that playbook, which is quite a lot of reading, but it also filters out, if there's a great filter. So we might only have probably 1 in 20 people that would even come back for the second interview, maybe 1 in 30. It's very low, so it slows the hiring down, but it has been a really, really good filter, and I'd recommend it to anyone in business right now. Is you should absolutely create a standard for this and have it on the wall, have it in your playbook, have it in your employment contract, and make sure you have a way of reminding people and recalling people to what they signed up for.
Yep. Unbelievable. I got a big smile on my face, Bernard. Yeah, absolutely. Alex.
Yeah, so no, I have never seen it, and I've never implemented that way. I've seen values, and I've seen the core principles and what drives the companies in the wall, so people can see it. But and when would I apply it if I would have done it? Yeah, for sure, the first day. Let people know the expectation. Absolutely. But I would add to that, Richard, whoever this anonymous guy is or girl, that if you the system, the lean system is so novel. It's easy to detect someone that is not fitting in or is not participating. It's just taking and not giving. What everybody I see having problem with is pull that person inside the room and explain them what they're doing wrong. The problem is they leave them there for so many time, and they're continue doing the same thing over and over, and it's contaminating the culture of the rest of the people. So if you see that, stop and pull them in and be very honest, be candid with them. Look, you do this and this, great, but this is not acceptable, or this you need to polish. And I think a lot of organizations fail to do that. They drag it on.
The reason I like this particular one, because this is fundamental in growing people, and that's what lean is all about. It's all about growing people. It's not about the tools. It's not about getting the flow right. It's growing the people so they can understand what improvement is all about, and then you provide them with the necessary tools to do it. And I think this behavior standard operating procedure, I watched this last week when Ryan first put it out, and I thought, wow, this is incredible. I've never seen it. Ryan said it's their powerhouse, and he's taking it back to his company. So if Ryan is going to introduce this into CT Matters, it's got to be good. So really, I like this one a lot. Okay. Next one, Brad from Canada. Okay. One of the pushbacks I've heard around moving to a 2-second lean style of management is, how is leadership able to control the costs and direction as multiple individuals attack problems without alignment to a higher goal and strategy? How have the roundtable companies faced down this leadership pushback? Well, you're all leaders in your own rights. So think about this one as you go through and answer it. Okay, who's next? Brannon on this one, number one.
Yeah. So attack problems without alignment. So number one, how do you get alignment? Like, why isn't the team aligned? And what do you need to do to get aligned? And I'll tell you what we did because we had similar problems like this. We actually developed, and it was a kind of a changing strategy, but it was about a 35 word strategy that was ambiguous enough that there was freedom to maneuver in it, but it was clear enough that it helped to inform decisions as to what our overall strategic objectives were. So it lined people's individual decisions under that same envelope with that same target, if that makes sense. When we did that, it was amazing how much it cleared up the confusion as to the direction we were going.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to make sure that all of the management team was completely aware as to what it meant, what we were doing, and how that should guide our decisions. And what happened was, as an example, is all of a sudden our estimating group that are sending up proposals, they know what we're trying to achieve, and they start changing the way they communicate, the way that they actually send their proposals off. The project management team starts to align behind that. The supervisor team starts to align behind that. And that's the way I would say, like, get it written down, get everybody in front of it, make sure everybody understands it. And then the individual small decisions start lining up and pointing in the same direction once that clarity and alignment is there in the first place. We did that, and I'll tell you, it made a giant, it was actually so much more successful than I thought it would be. We had a goal to get like 80% of our projects profitable, and I think we went up to like 98%. Like, we almost didn't have a job that wasn't profitable after we got lined up behind that. So I'm a huge proponent of this.
Yeah. So, I mean, the statement there, without alignment is to get alignment. Well done, Brandon. Absolutely. Austin.
Yeah, I agree with Brendan. It's your job as the leader to facilitate that alignment. I also think if you're getting pushback there, you don't hold off on action because of something that might happen, right? A bad plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan next week. I think you move on it. And if you have a team, if you created a culture of humble leaders that are going to talk and know that there might be crossover between different directions, and you've got a company chat and everybody's sharing those things, I just think it becomes a very moot point. I understand people don't like change, so you're going to get pushback, but I don't actually see it as big an issue as they tried to create it. And again, like Brendan said, it's your job as the leader to create alignment and to hold the rope tight there.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Who next? Alex.
No, I think that's the same thing. I mean, Brandon explained it perfect. It is so obvious. I mean, it is how do you. The problem is if you try to micromanage, you got to show them where you're going. And I see a lot of lack of the true north, as we say, the true north in companies. What is the true north? And then every department needs to understand what that translates into in their own area, right? And so the word control brings me like in a lean culture, you don't want to be controlling. You want to empower people to meet the goal. So if the goal is reduce the cost of the product, whatever, okay, go ahead, go at it. But I wouldn't be like I want to control. It's really more how do I make it so clear they understand all the decisions they need to take are going to the goal I want. The goal of the company, the goal of the leader.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Bernard, last but not least.
Yep, no, great. I agree with all of you guys. Brilliant answers. Couple of things to add is I love the airplane analogy. I used to fly little airplanes, and you have freedom within a framework, a very highly defined framework. You've got checklists, you've got rules, you've got all these things that you must comply with, but you still have freedom as a pilot within that framework to make decisions as, bad weather happens or situations change or there's other aircraft in the area or whatever, So the other thing is that I always say to people, again, like sailing, you can you can't change the direction of the wind, but you can change the sails, where you put your sails. So get together as a senior leadership team. That's the first thing. And if you haven't got a clear strategy and direction that is written up on the wall and in your playbook, you've got to sort that out fast. So you've got to, even if it's not perfect, you need to get together, do a little boot camp, make it an off-site for a day or even half a day, or split it over a few days if you can't afford the time, or you think you can't afford the time, split it over, a few 2-hour sessions, and get clear on your mission. Why are we in business? What's our core purpose? What are our values? What do we all agree on there? What is our vision? What do we want to look like in 12 months from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And just make that really, really clear. And then how the heck are we going to get there? Agree on a few daily habits that you think are most important. And then bring your team with you on this as well. So senior leadership needs to be aligned, and that can be challenging. But if you don't get in a room together and thrash it out, then you're just going to go nowhere. And then in your morning meetings, you need to start sharing, and we do this every day, is we'll read a little bit from the vision, read a little bit from, something from the playbook, so that, and then in our main, another way of doing this, guys, is that we also have a weekly all-staff meeting where everyone is together for half an hour once a week, because we're split across multiple locations, and we will read out a paragraph from the vision, and that will be, what it looks like, and then and how we will get there. So you got to, and like one of you guys said, I think it was Austin, imperfect action is much better than perfect inaction. And we also say production then perfection. So you just, this is a great question from Brad, but you need to have a clear strategy and how you're going to get there. If you need tools for it, we've got plenty of tools at Premier Business Academy to help you fill out this framework, but you need to have a clear north, a true north, and then all of these improvements, and then they are going to head in the right direction. And then you need to be present on your group chat every day, because you're straight away going to see if an improvement doesn't line up with where we're trying to go. You can feedback directly to that person and say, hey, by the way, great effort on this improvement, but it doesn't actually get us towards our goal. It's actually taking us away from our goal. Or you can ask them the question, do you think this is taking us towards our true north or not? So there's a few ideas. Does that help, Richard?
It does, absolutely. And I've got one thing to add to this from my perspective. In a company that Brad works at, I would like to ask the question, what does your organization chart look like? Do you have the leader at the bottom, or do you have the leader at the top? If your leader's at the top, in order to overcome this, change your org charts so the leader is at the bottom, supporting everyone in the organization, and then your alignment will start. And you're not pushing down stuff to people. You're actually helping them and guiding them. Is it aligned with what we're putting out here? So I think all of the responses that the team have done are brilliant. I'd like to just have people look at your organization's charts and do the servant leadership and put the leaders at the bottom. I hate the term, we're pushing it up the ladder, and that's wrong. All right, we got one more question, that's all. And let's have a look from Putra in Canada. Along your lean implementation journey, have you had staff say that lean and improvements are outside of their job description and they should be compensated for it? How have you managed that? All right, Alex, you go on this one first.
Oh, I just remember this one case where we had say about 80 people in the morning meeting, and we're giving them the 2-second lean book, and there was one guy saying, how much am I going to get paid to read this? You can imagine my face. So I was very clear to everyone, guys, we're doing this because it's good for us, good for the company, good for developing of everyone. And it's so simple. If you guys don't believe this is going to be the place for you, we'll help you find another place. But we want you to be happy. We want you to develop yourself. You get to improve, and then you get the chance. Your main job is to improve, right?
Yep.
Processes and systems. And if you're successful, you get the opportunity to see that improvement actually works by doing some work.
Yep, for sure. Perfect.
That was a big change.
Perfect. Okay, Bernard, you got 1 minute. Go.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah. I just say, we always say to people, again, it comes back to hiring right at the start. And I realize that a lot of you are maybe starting this journey now and you've already got 20 staff, 50 staff, 100 staff. You've got to sell it to them and you've got to be the CRO, right? I always say that's the chief reminding officer. And that's what the morning meeting is for, is to say, when you go around the group and asking for contributions, you might say, hey, Bob, what are 2 things that you love about lean, or what are 2 things, 2 lean principles? And there'll be things like, because you'll have a poster on the wall, hopefully by now already, with all your key lean principles, things like lean makes work easy, it makes work fun, it reduces stress, it removes struggle. So all these benefits that flow out of lean, so that all the time in every morning meeting, people are actually repeating back to the morning meeting leader and saying, because lean makes work fun, because it makes, so you've got to get these principles ingrained and embedded. And you're saying, well, we're not paying extra because our job from now on is to improve the way we work. It's not to turn up and make a widget. It's to turn up and improve the way we make the widget, to remove your struggle, to make life easy for you,
Perfect.
to help you hit your life and help you hit your life goals faster. That's the
perfect.
big thing.
Time's
right?
up. Excellent. Austin.
Yeah, we had already kind of crossed this in the interview process prior to our lean journey. If we're not hiring you for a specific role, you're going to help us serve the customer and whatever that looks like. And maybe most of the time it's being a delivery driver in a truck. But if it's picking up trash on the yard one day, or picking up a credit from a different department, that is what it is. So we'd already kind of crossed that. So no, this has not come up, but I can understand how it could.
Excellent. And last but not least, Brannon.
I would say this: when the leader is showing a video of how they scrubbed down the toilet this morning and vacuumed the floor and is out there doing things on their own, it's going to be really, really hard for an employee to come to the big bad boss, the guy who's running the whole show, and say, why don't I get paid more for that when you just got done cleaning a toilet?
Love it.
And so to me, lead by example, and a lot of that stuff goes away.
I love it. Those answers are brilliant. My simple one is change their job description and put it in there. Lean and improvements, they're in your job description. You got to do it. It's absolutely great. All right, that's how much we got time for today.
And I'm sure that Putera, that person, sorry, Richard, that person is only one. I don't think it's the whole company. I've never seen the whole company saying that. I can guarantee you that you've already pointed out who's the taker and who are the givers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
they're part of the 10-80-10 syndrome, the 10
they bubble
negative
up.
people. Anyway, I just want to thank our team today. I want to thank everybody who joined us on the roundtable today. The questions are great. The answers were great. Big thank you to Alex and Bernard, who are our resident leaders. Thank you to Paul and Bernard for putting this thing together. Originally, it's great. Big thanks to Austin for coming to us today. We really appreciate you coming. And I got to do an extra special, Brannon, thank you, because we pulled Brannon in at the last minute when, oh my gosh, Brendan couldn't make it about an hour before we started. So this is what lean leaders are all about. They want to share. They want to give their experiences. They want to make people better. They want to grow people. Our next roundtable is going to be in August. So we'll welcome everybody to come back in August. Get your questions into the WhatsApp number, and we'll see you at the next 2-Second Lean Tour, which is going to be with Brian Myers and Fat American Manufacturing on June the 4th, everyone. So we look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Nice. And
Thank you for sharing.
Big hand to Richard. Big hand to Richard for running these. Thank you, Richard. You're amazing.
Thank you. And Putra, thanks for the last question. It was really cool.